My name is Jeremy Rue, and I teach coding classes at UC Berkeley's Graduate School of Journalism. I want to talk a little bit today about innovations in story form and online narrative storytelling. This is something that we're really excited about and we explore a lot at the school. There's been a lot of interesting examples in this last couple of years, this last year especially, of people really kind of transcending traditional media. Aaron Pluffer, I am so sorry about this next slide, but we can't move forward without kind of addressing that. A year ago, there was this project, and what it meant was, it was a little bit of a watershed moment, because I think it rethought the idea of an article and what it could be, and as an experience combining all the different elements. It's not just Snowball, there's a lot of other, if you download this Device 6 iPhone, it's an amazing game that just transcends the medium, and if you haven't played it yet, you have to download it. It's an amazing game. But there's these projects that aren't video, they're not graphics, they're not text, they're something else. In journalism, we've always molded and crafted the story structures to fit the medium that they're told in. A radio story is different than a newspaper story, than a magazine story. It depends on the context. We change the journalism to fit the medium we're told in, which begs the question, what is the medium of the web? Is it text? Is it graphics? Is it photos? Is it a video? Is it a combination of all of the above? Is it something completely different? And to really answer those kinds of questions, we have to really ask ourselves a couple of different things. We have to solve a few riddles about mode of consumption. How are people consuming media online? And in what ways and in what context? And with what technologies? There's been there's troves of data, and I'm interested to hear from some of you guys who have studied this far more than I have. But a lot of the usability experts throughout the last decade, people like Jacob Nielsen, have defined terms to describe the way we consume media on, and how it's different. You know, when you're on a computer, you're interacting with it. Your attention span's a little bit shorter, and you're in what we call the scanning mode. Your eyes jumping around. You're scanning, pulling content out. You're clicking links. You're scrolling. It's a very different experience than, say, sitting down on a couch and reading a book or reading a magazine or watching a movie. You would tend to be more in a consumption mode, a leisurely activity, consuming a stream of content. So we know these ideas. These are not new ideas. This is something we've always dealt with and battled against. But we need to leverage this idea. These are new factors to consider when we're creating narratives online. It also depends on the content. A lot of people ask, well, what about mobile devices, iPads, iPhones? You know, what are these lean-back devices? Are they lean forward? You know, are they stand up? What are they? Well, sometimes it could be multiple things. It depends on the context. People curl up in bed with an iPad to read books. They use mobile devices with great utility. So factors to consider: mode of consumption, the capabilities of the technology and what it can do, and the context in which it's used. These are things, new ideas that we have to consider when we're creating narratives online. So there's this documentary, if you haven't seen it, Hollow Documentaries, this interactive documentary, and I really like it. It's not perfect, but it's one of the nice things about it is it sort of takes the idea of not just clicking play and watching a 2-hour documentary on the web. It's like you have to push through the mechanism of scrolling. You have to push the narrative forward. It's interactive in a way. And then other projects have this one on Inside the Haiti earthquake. You have to pick. You personalize the experience by picking which role you want to view this as: the survivor, as the journalist, as the aid worker, and all of a sudden it personalizes the experience you have. Other entities are creating projects. This NSA Files by The Guardian recently. It's not just narrative, it's expository writing, creating, and this is sort of kind of a snowfall-like, interstitials of multimedia that help illustrate arcane topics throughout the story. So all of these ideas, graphics, information, interaction, design, all of these things come together to create an experience. And notice story. Story really is an ancillary part of the entire experience. It's not, content is king, true, but much in the same way in the world of cinema, a movie is more than just its script. It's the art direction, it's the actor's performance, the set design, the lighting, the special effects. All of these factors come together to create the gestalt of a movie. And the script is just one part of that. And the story, the text and the content of the story, when we're creating experiences online, we have to consider all of these elements. Interactivity, you can update. There's all these new dimensions that we have to consider, other than just a linear story delivering content and information. Things that we can do when you want to interact with the media. This is a slide that really inspired me, and I really live by this. This is something Steve Jobs showed during one of his keynotes, and he said that Apple, he felt, was at the intersection of technology and liberal arts. And I feel like when we're talking about storytelling and innovations in journalism, we really have to think about how the production of the technology is an intrinsic part of the story nowadays. I'm working with a colleague of mine, Richard Coach Hernandez. We're researching this idea. I would love to meet as many of you throughout this weekend to talk to you guys and find out more about what you guys think of all of this stuff. And that's it.